Okay. So this 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 episode took me to some areas that I just wasn't ready to go to. So that's why I'm even late dropping my review, because it took me some places that I wasn't even willing to do. But whatever. I'm here. So let's talk about it. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for Greenleaf. This is season 5, episode 7. You know what I'm finding? This has been a whole lot. This whole this whole season has been a lot, because we know that this is getting ready to be over. So some of the things that are going on are just a lot to take in. Well, first of all, they tried to pull a Tyler Perry on me. Boom, Darius isn't dead. Bullcrap. He's not dead. There was a traffic stop. It was like a old fake, phony, shady traffic stop where he ended up being thrown in jail and his car ended up being impounded. Okay, whatever. All right. But what I wouldn't do is start playing the Tyler Perry game with me. Don't do that. Don't do that. I don't like that corny, you ain't, everybody, it's all gloom and doom, and then you work through it, and then that ain't really what happened. I never liked that. Like, I never liked even back to the days of Dallas, the Bobby got shot, but then Bobby was really in the shower and you was dreaming. I don't like that. That's like lazy writing techniques to me, and I'm not a fan. So I said, whatever. I was fussing, but I was like, all right, cool, whatever. You did it to me with AJ. Now we done did it with Darius. I ain't a fan of this. Now stop it. Anyway, let's move on. So we got Lady Mae and Bishop. He comes back and he approaches her again about the marriage situation. He brings it like a breakfast. He brought her like he was bringing her breakfast in bed. He brought her original engagement ring, and she was like, "Oh, okay, cool, no problem." This, that, thing, and the other. Now her whole thing, she's like, okay, she wants him to side with doing something for Tara. She's like, if we're not going to give her the house, then at least we could give her like a piece, we'll sell a piece of land, give her the money, this, that, the other. He was like not on board with it. He's like, if there's anything, if we do anything for her monetarily, with land, whatever, it's going to make me look like I am admitting to guilt and I haven't done anything. So I was like, I was there with Bishop. I agree. It's all or nothing. Either he did it or he didn't do it. If you acquiesce to her any type of way, then it's like you're admitting guilt. And I don't know why May don't see that. But whatever. She's like, listen, that's fine. If you don't want to do that, you don't want to acquiesce, then that's going to be that. And this will have to wait. And she gave him the ring back and said, Flag Day it is. She would keep on pushing and there wouldn't even be no marriage. So just quit playing, May. But whatever. Moving on. So we got the church is being ready to be torn down. Like the people were there. All of this stuff is going on. Grace and Aaron show up. There's Phil, Judy, and Fernando, because that was Fernando who showed up talking mess to Grace, and Grace told him, thanks a whole lot for the fake arrest that you did with my and a little threat that you did with my friend, but no, that's not happening, darling. And we have a cease and desist. You have to stop all this. This is like real estate fraud, because Jacob was not aware that H&H had involvement with the sale of that land he to City on the Hill. He had no idea. And Fernando stepped in and told her, threatened to call Carissa, and was like, his wife knew. His wife knew, and he basically led on that he had banged her out. You know, Grace knew what he was talking about, and he knew what he was talking about. And Grace kind of went to lunge at him a little bit, and Aaron was like, with his fine self, was like, that's okay. But y'all need to see, since it says, honey, we're not tearing nothing down today. That ain't happening. So everybody went their little way. Let's go back over here. We got Lady Mae and we got Tara. They're talking, and it's this whole thing comes up, and she's talking to her. She's like, you know what? The whole thing with Rochelle's not going to bend to anything, civil. She's not going to do it. She wants blood. That's her thing. She wants blood. She wants to take the Greenleafs down, as far down as she can possibly take them. And Tara ended up telling May, I said, wait a minute, she's getting a little too sassy. Told her, we are not in this together. Like, we're not working together. So, like, don't get twisted. I said, May. And May, May don't like to be challenged. May is very much, I ain't no gangster, but don't push me. So I was like, Miss Tara, you stepping left, and I ain't gonna work out for you in the end, girl. But go ahead, keep doing what you're doing. So let's move on. We got AJ and Bishop. They had a whole conversation. He's there about the car and all that. And there's another little thing we see where it's like Bishop was kind of losing memory. Like he was like, wait a minute. Okay, you're here about the car. And I'm like, nobody's paying attention to this with him forgetting stuff. They're not locking in because there's so much going on that they're just not locking into it. And I'm like, well, somebody please pay attention to Bishop, But anyway, him and AJ had a little conversation about the whole explanation of being saved and all of this. Child, I got started right in the beginning. Soon as they start going through that, child, I started already getting into this whole emotional thing. I was like, I said, we going somewhere here. But he just basically had told AJ about the goodness of the Lord and the goodness of actually giving yourself to the Lord and how it changes everything and how you'll feel differently about everything and you'll laugh and you'll smile bigger than you've ever smiled and all of this, all these things. Okay, all these things. And yeah, it was just getting kind of deep because when you start to understand and you start to accept a relationship, it does change the way you look at things. So I was like, okay. But the good thing was he wasn't pushing. He wouldn't push. He's like, whenever you decide, if you decide, I hope I'm there because I just want to see your smile whenever it happens. This was when I started noticing. It's so funny because my bishop, who was actually passed on, the couple, Bishop Green, his name was actually Bishop Green, Arthur Green, was my pastor. And he does remind me so much of Bishop Greenleaf. Like, they're both dark brown skinned men. They both have that same type of, there's a lot of similarities to them, is why I get so attached with this whole thing. But he is passed on. But there was times in this episode that I kept seeing him and I was like, oh my gosh, if that ain't Bishop Green and all this whole little thing. Very interesting, but it ended up taking me on a whole trip, which is why, like I said, I was late doing this because I was having a hard time with this. But anyway, moving on, let's keep talking. So, all right, Grace and Noah end up going and seeing the old caretaker. His name is Otis. Child, Otis gave me very much old racist white man, honey, is what I got from Otis. I don't know if I was supposed to pull that racist feeling from Otis, but I very much did. Otis had me tight, baby. I was like, and he kept on speaking about Daryl James, that Negro boy, that Negro, this, that, that. I was like, you know what? Otis is ready to have me punching him in his throat. But he kept going on about the bad relationship that Daryl James actually had with the woman. And he was saying how, the relationship was bad, and he used to come and he would be screaming and hollering at her, and he would be fighting with her, and this, that, and the other. And then he eventually got around to it, and he said, you know what? Grace said, well, were they lovers or something like that? And he was like, lovers? Absolutely not. Like, nobody laying with no old Negro, honey. And that was like his two, kind of. And then he came across with what made a whole lot of sense. He said, no, 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 nothing like that. He was her son. I said, oh! Now, we kind of were thinking something along these lines, but it's one thing when you think you know, and then when you actually know, it's like, oh, jeez. I said, okay, that's not good news. I mean, it's good because it clears up a lot of things that didn't make sense, but that ain't good for the Greenleafs. Flat out. So that was that. So Zora had a little conversation with Jacob, and Jacob had told her, listen, back off me and chill. I said, give it a little bit of time. Let me get things figured out for you. She ain't letting it go. She still pushes. She ready to go to New York. She ain't never canceled her ticket or none of that stuff. So you know Zora. You know how Zora does things. She's still planning on dashing off and running away and skipping out. Now she done talked Sophia into going with her. Sophia's so goofy. She just used you because she don't even want to be bothered with you. She just using you because you got the money. You got attachment to the money because your mama going to give you whatever you want. So you're the cash cow by which to roll with. But she ain't thinking about you for real, for real. And I was like, oh, that little girl. So she got that whole thing going on with her. Mess. Moving on. Rochelle, Pastor Greenleaf, had told him, get them all over here. Get them over here so we could talk to them. Whenever Gigi came in and told Bishop that Daryl James was the woman's son. So Rochelle and Tar show up. They sit down with Bishop and May, and they're all just talking. And May was basically saying, we're going to just, your birthright gives you this home. It's only what's right. Ain't no need us even having to go fight back and forth and all that. It is what it is. They were basically accepting defeat. Child, listen. Rochelle is sitting there basically giving the house is not enough. She wants an admission of guilt from the bishop. And then, of course, we know Rochelle, she is evil and hateful. If he admits, then she's going to go further because she wants to destroy him. That's just who she is. And he's like, you're not going to get what you want because that's not what happened. That is not what happened. And I'm not going to ever tell you that I planned and had your father killed because I didn't do it. Anyway, at this time, Jacob rolls through and says, Charity dropped this massive email for everybody to come down to the church and gather at the church. Because remember, she had this whole little thing with Yusef and all of that stuff. And Phil, so they get down there. She has said, I'm going down to the church and I'm not going to give up without a fight. Whatever. So she's going down there. She's sitting down there. Maybe they go in there. That Bob is there. Bob Whitfield's there. And Bob Whitfield is just feeding them a line of garbage. She's there, talking, and all the people are there and everything like that. Baby, at that point, they get down there and the whole Greenleaf clan storm in. Like, they just came in as a clan, baby, and they rolled through. And it was time for the tea to start being dished, okay? They come in. They interrupt what Bob is saying, drop this information because Gigi got the information, her and Darius got the information about exactly what had happened. They start spilling it in front of Bob about what Phil DeMars' mother had done, how she had, how Bob and them targeted these black families, basically stuck people with a balloon payment. People, they made things where they screwed up their incomes, and they had a balloon payment at the end of their mortgages, and they couldn't make the balloon payment. And as soon as they missed the payment, they snatched them up and took all their houses. And it was like over 240 something families that this had happened to, and that they had used Phil DeMars' mother. And he was like, I've never targeted black people, this, that, thing, and the other. Now, if she actually targeted them, that he just literally passed the buck. And Phil got up and told Bob, see, I never knew what it was my mother did. But now I know it. He started telling the story of how when she was on her deathbed, she kept saying there was something that she wasn't so sure that God would ever forgive her for. And that was what it was. That was what it was. And Bob was like, son, so forth and so he said, I am not your son. I am not your son. So finally, Phil is on board with the truth and whatever and whatnot. He told Judy, give me my mother's ring back. I said, the wedding is over, bitch. Give me my mother's ring back. She said, sitting there looking, and they standing right there, and Charity sitting right there. Baby, she gonna say, oh, really? So she took the ring off and gonna throw it on the ground and say, stupid ring. I said, oh, you bitch. I messed it. It didn't fall down there by Charity. He got to get down on the ground and pick it up. Bob told his people at Judy, let's get on out of here. And they went and they left on out, baby. They went on and rolled on out. So eventually, Bob had resigned and all of that. So everything as far as the church goes, yeah. But what happened next was really crazy. And then Phil was looking at Charity when he picked up that ring, honey. But Bishop took the stage and started talking to the people. And he told them, the church, the congregation, he told the story about what really happened. And how Mac basically advised him. Mac was his advisor. He advised him to go and see Daryl James's mother and this, that, thing, and the other. And he was saying how he just did that. And he said, and deep down, he should have known that Mac was doing something wrong. But all he saw was the gain and what he would gain. And he just went ahead and was selfish. And it was selfish wishes for his future. He went ahead and he went along with everything and all of that. And Mac really had him double down on like becoming a part of this woman's life. And it's so funny because when you look at it, he basically had him treat the woman the same way that they treat Corinne's grandmother. The same way they treat Corinne's grandmother. She's the purse holder. Go over there and cater to her. It's the same thing. So that's what Bishop was saying. He says, and what happened? He says she ended up turning the house over to him, and that whole thing. And he said, with that house is how I ended up being able to build this church. Uses collateral and all that to build the church, this, that, thing, and the other. And he said, and all I did, I didn't do right by you all. I taught y'all, what I was teaching what God can do for you if you're faithful. But really, what ended up happening is what you learned was what God will show you when you aren't just and you're not right. And Corinne stood up and said, no, Bishop, you showed us a lot more than that. It wasn't all bad. Yeah, you did some things wrong, but it wasn't all bad. And everybody don't feel like that and everything like that. So he didn't want the church back over. And he apologized. The church forgave him and all of that. Now, so everything's cool. Rochelle is leaving out. Grace stops her. They're in the vestibule of the church, and she says to her, "Thank you, Rochelle, for your little nasty, evil thing that you did. That whole thing of getting AJ in contact with Noah. You were trying to destroy me with it, but you did not. And what you did was you brought AJ back to us and all that. So thank you." Hey, that Rochelle, she's just nasty anyway. She's going to say, "You know what, Grace, you understand, even God uses a sinner like me. Are we done?" And that's what Grace says to her, "Are we done?" And she was like, "I just wanted the truth. I wanted the truth, this, that, and the other. So, overdone. Whatever, Rochelle. Beat it. Get on out of here." So, that is that. It is what it is. Done deal. Last thing we end up seeing Charity, and Phil stops her in the hallway. And he's like, "I'm so sorry. This, that, thing, and the other." Baby, that Charity stuck her chest out and told him, "No, never. No man has ever hurt me. Not even the father of my children, hurt me the way you hurt me. And no, never. I will never. Not with you, baby." I said, "Oh, come on, Charity." She walked away from me. She had a little tear, but she felt good about how, and you should have felt good getting back to you and stop being a fool for everybody. So this is one last thing before we get to where they really took me out. Sophia ends up, she had told Grace that she needed to see her and talk to her. It's all this mess about Zora and all that bull crap. She ended up talking to Grace, and she tells her, the whole thing about the pictures, I know I did wrong, and I'll never do that again, and this, that. She was like, "What pictures? What are you talking about?" Child, she lied. I knew Zora had never told Grace nothing. Honey, and that doggone Sophia was like, "Oh," I said, "Girl, she got you again. Hey, now you done told your mama." I said, "Lord have mercy." Meanwhile, we got the whole thing with her and Darius. Darius was trying to screw. He wanted her to come on over, but she had to go talk to Sophia, so she didn't talk to him. So that's that. Everything's cool. Everything's cool. But, as it seems, the Greenleafs are still going to lose the house. The house will basically go to them, but they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. Because their church is going to be popping, and they'll be back to where everything is worked out. Because God always works things out. So then we see Lady May. Lady May is getting her stuff together, baby, and she's squirting on her perfume and all this. And I said, "Girl, you get ready to get." She's going to give Bishop a little taste, honey, and let him know we go ahead and get married, and everything is everything. Bob pulled out from under, Hope and Harmony is going to be no more. It's nothing. This is done. So she going to give James a little taste, honey. So she gets all ready, and she's going into the room. She started walking from her bathroom back into the bedroom part, and I just started crying. And I was like, something ain't right. Something's not right. And that's when I started having an issue. Hadn't even seen Bishop. I just started having an issue. She walks up on Bishop. He's sitting up in the bed. He got the Bible on his lap. And she's talking to him. "Oh, James, this, that, thing, and the other. And he's not really responding to her. And then I'm looking at him, and his face is starting to slide. I said, "Oh, no." Okay. So it's this whole thing of him going through this stroke. This stroke is happening. It's happening like in real time. It's happening, and it was like this whole long drawn out thing. She's like trying to call 911, and he's just wanting her to give her a pen, and he writes on the book, "I do." It's done. It's done. He knows it's done. He knows it's over. Um, Everything's out. All consciousness has been cleared. His way has been cleared to be able to transition. Is all there was. It was what it was. And she's like, no, 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 everything's gonna be fine, James. This, that, the other. She's talking to him, and then he started like going back, and I was like, girl, he gone, honey. He is gone, 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 gone. And child, we already know what the acting situation is between Lynn Whitfield and the guy that actually plays Bishop. I was done. I was just done, 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 done. And I watched the show when it aired because I don't usually actually see the show most of the time in real time. I'm always DVR'd, and I usually catch it later at night and stuff like that, or in the morning. You know, I don't always catch it. I caught it in real time, and I tried to do the review right after. I tried to do the review the next day. Excellent work because yeah, it's done. It That's an episode I don't ever want to see that episode again. Like I just don't. I don't need to never see that no more. But it was done very well. It was done very well. I'm just done with it. I'm out of here. I'm leaving. I'm done. I'm gone. And I will talk to you all in a couple days when the next episode comes on. I'm going. Bye. But that's it. Bishop Greenleaf is gone. Bye, y'all.